Hello and welcome back to the Second Chance to Live channel here on YouTube. In today's video presentation, I'm going to be speaking about grieving, guilt, and shame after a traumatic brain injury. To read the article, I'll put my glasses on and bring up the article. I want to thank you for your time. Here's the article, Grieving the Guilt and Shame of a Traumatic Brain Injury and Stroke. For many years after my brain injury, I had no idea that I carried a tremendous amount of guilt and shame. Guilt and shame because of the traumatic brain injury that I experienced when I was 10 years old in 1967. I had no idea how much anger and frustration I internalized because I was unable to change despite all of my hard work. Once my external wounds healed, the impact of my traumatic brain injury was no longer considered to be a factor in the difficulties that I encountered in my interpersonal relationships, my educational pursuits, and my vocational endeavors. Because my traumatic brain injury was denied, I experienced guilt and shame, grieving the guilt and shame of my brain injury. In the process, I became angry and frustrated because I was convinced that I did not just make mistakes, but that I was a mistake. I turned my anger and frustration inward. In the process, I developed low-grade chronic depression. In my experience, I continued to turn my anger and frustration inward until I reached a point in my life when denying my reality became more painful than my need to deny my reality. When I reached this level of pain, I became willing to confront the denial that kept me stuck in turning my anger and frustration inward. Again, when I reached this level of pain, I became willing to confront the denial that kept me stuck in turning my anger and frustration inward. When I reached this point in time, I began to grieve the guilt and shame of my brain injury, angry and frustrated. As I began to grieve the guilt and shame of my brain injury, I grew in awareness. I started to realize that I was angry and frustrated at myself because I had tried to change what I was powerless to change. As I grew in my awareness of how guilt and shame impacted my life, I realized that I was living in a fear of abandonment. That because of what I tried desperately to change unsuccessfully and could not, people would go away and I would be alone. I also discovered that I practiced several strategies that never worked to keep people from going away. People pleasing, approval seeking, and mind reading. A fear of abandonment after brain injury. I practiced all of these behaviors in an attempt to give people what I thought they wanted or needed. I also participated in a common dance. If I thought that I'd done something that displeased or made them feel something that they did not want to feel, I said I was sorry. Then I attempted to fix them to make them all right. I did so in an attempt to make them all right so that I could feel that we were all right. I did so in an attempt to keep them from going away so that I would feel all right and not feel abandoned. Through my process, I came to realize that this dance only made and kept me feeling crazy in my attempt to control the uncontrollable. Examining my fear of abandonment after brain injury. Through my process and discovery, I came to realize that I needed to grieve. I needed to grieve my anger and disappointment to ease my guilt and shame. No one was to blame. Grieving helped me to accept the things that I could not change so that I could discover what I could change. Grieving helped me to grieving helped me to give me freedom from my fear of abandonment. Grieving helped me to identify what held me hostage to my fear of abandonment. Grieving helped me to discover what I was afraid about at a core level because of my brain injury. Grieving helped me to realize that I had an assortment of choices that gave me hope. The power of acceptance. In May 2008, I wrote a 7-part article series to share what helped me to grieve and get to a place of acceptance. A place of acceptance that helped me to stop being angry at what I was powerless to change. Acceptance helped me to find a freedom from guilt and shame that I experienced because of my brain injury. Acceptance helped me to realize that I could still live the life that I had hoped for before my brain injury. Acceptance helped me to realize that I could create hope in my life one day at a time. The article series, Traumatic Brain Injury and the Power of Acceptance. In the event that you are experiencing shame, guilt, and a fear of abandonment because of your brain injury and stroke, I would encourage you to click on the below links and read the series. Please read each part of the article series or watch each part of the video presentation by clicking on each of the below parts. As you read each of these parts and you find yourself identifying with them, please leave a comment. Let me know. I'd like to talk to you. Leave a comment or a question, and I'll get back with you. This is the end of the video presentation series. Before I go, let me encourage you with this. Please do not give up on yourself, a loving God, or your process, because more will be revealed to you and to me with time. The pieces of the puzzle will come together in the correct order and at the right time. I'll say so long for now. Have a great day, and God bless both you and your family. Bye now.